Here's what they don't tell you about risk-reward ratios. The professionals aren't using 3-1 because it's better. They're using it because they can afford to. You can't. And the moment you pretend you can, the market starts eating you from the inside out. David learned this the hard way. He'd read the books, watch the courses. Every guru said the same thing. Never take a trade below 3-1 risk-reward. Made sense on paper. Risk $1, make 3. Simple math. He set up his trades perfectly. Stop loss at $100. Target at $300. Professional grade entries. Textbook risk management. He lost 11 trades in a row. Not because his analysis was wrong. Not because the setups were bad. Because he couldn't handle what 3-1 actually requires. Being wrong 11 times before being right 4 times and still breaking even. His account didn't die from bad trades. It died from something else entirely. Psychological depletion. Here's what happens in your body when you lose a trade. Your amygdala, the part of your brain that kept your ancestors alive when they heard a branch snap in the dark, registers the loss as a threat, not a financial threat, a survival threat. Your cortisol spikes. Your heart rate increases. Your pupils dilate slightly. This isn't metaphorical. This is measurable physical stress. Now take that feeling and multiply it by 11. 11 times, your body floods with cortisol. 11 times, your nervous system screams that something is wrong, that you're in danger, that you need to do something different. And here's the cruel part. Your conscious mind knows the strategy is sound. You know that 3-1 works if you can just wait for the winners. But your body doesn't do statistics. Your body just knows it's been hurt 11 times in a row. So what happens? Trade 12. Your hands are shaking slightly when you enter. You don't notice it, but your wife does when you're holding your coffee that morning. Trade 13. You move your stop loss a little wider. Just $5. Just to give it room to breathe. Trade 14. You take profit at 2-1 instead of 3-1. Because you need a win. You need your nervous system to calm down. You need to prove to yourself that you're not broken. And just like that, the system collapses. Not because 3-1 doesn't work. It does. For people with $500,000 accounts who can lose $5,000 11 times and feel nothing. For hedge funds with risk management teams and therapists on retainer. For anyone whose body doesn't register a $200 loss as a potential threat to their family's grocery budget. But you're not them. You're trading with $10,000 you saved over 2 years. Or $3,000 you can't afford to lose, but took out of your emergency fund anyway because you're sure you can make this work. Every loss is rent money. Every drawdown is your daughter's ballet classes. And your body knows this, even when you're telling yourself you're thinking like a professional. The math of 3-1 is beautiful. Risk $100 to make $300. Win 30% of the time, and you're profitable. It's elegant. It's efficient. It's completely, brutally unsustainable for anyone whose account balance appears in their dreams. Here's what the educators don't tell you. The strategy that works is the strategy you can execute. Not the strategy that has the best theoretical return. Not the strategy that looks impressive in a backtest. The strategy that your nervous system can tolerate when you're on losing streak number 8, and your hands are hovering over the keyboard at 2 a.m., wondering if you should just close everything and get a normal job. One risk-reward is not optimal. It's not efficient. It's not what the textbooks recommend. But it keeps you alive. When you risk 100 to make 100, you need a 50% win rate to break even. That sounds worse than 3-1's 30%. But here's what changes. You get that 50%. Not because the market is easier at 1-1, but because your brain doesn't sabotage you. You can lose 3 times and win 3 times. And your cortisol levels stay relatively flat. Your sleep patterns don't deteriorate. Your discipline doesn't erode like a sandcastle at high tide. David switched to 1-1 in month 4, after his account was down 38%. Not because he gave up on 3-1, because he finally understood what he was actually trading against. Not the market, his own biology. He stopped trying to be efficient and started trying to survive. Took trades with tight stops and tight targets. His win rate climbed to 52%, not because he got better at analysis, he was using the same setups, but because he wasn't second-guessing himself anymore, wasn't moving stops, wasn't taking profit early. His nervous system finally believed the game was fair. 3 months later, his account was back to break even. 6 months later, he was up 23%. Same setups, same markets, different risk-reward ratio, different person. And here's the part that broke his brain. When he calculated his total return, accounting for all the psychological mistakes he'd made chasing 3-1, his actual realized return over those first 4 months had been negative 38%. When he switched to 1-1, his realized return over 6 months was positive 23%. The inferior strategy outperformed the superior 1 by 61 percentage points, not on paper, in reality, in his actual account, with his actual psychology. Because the best strategy isn't the one with the highest theoretical return. It's the one you can execute on day 47 of a drawdown when your brain is telling you that you're an idiot and you should quit and everyone was right about you. You know what's hilarious? There are traders right now reading this, nodding along, completely convinced they're the exception. I can handle 3-1, they're thinking. I have discipline. I'm not emotional like David. Those traders lose faster. The ones who survive are the ones who understand this. Your discipline isn't being tested when you're winning. It's being tested when you've lost 6 times in a row, and trade number 7 is setting up perfectly, and every cell in your body is screaming at you to skip it, to wait for a better one, to do anything except follow your system one more time. And if that system requires you to lose 11 times before you win 4, you're going to break. Maybe not today, maybe not on streak 3 or 4, but eventually, your biology will override your discipline, and you'll make the adjustment that kills you. Wider stops, earlier profits, skipped trades, revenge trades. The cascade has already started. You just don't see it yet, but we'll get to that. To the specific mechanism by which your brain dismantles your strategy while you sleep, to the cortisol accumulation effect that the textbooks never mention, to the reason why the professional traders can use 3, 1, and you can't. And it has nothing to do with intelligence or skill. It has to do with something much more primitive. Something you can't think your way out of. Your brain is a liar. Not sometimes, always. Specifically when it comes to pain tolerance. It will tell you that you can handle more than you can. It will tell you that this losing streak is different, that you've learned from the last one, that you're disciplined now. And then, somewhere around loss number 7, it will quietly betray you without warning. This isn't a character flaw. It's architecture. The human brain evolved to avoid repeated pain. Touch a hot stove once, learn. Touch it twice, you're an idiot. Touch it 11 times while waiting for it to give you 3 cookies, and you're extinct. Your ancestors survived because their brains had a kill switch. After enough repeated negative stimuli, the system overrides conscious decision-making and forces a change in behavior. In the wild, this kept you alive. In trading, it kills you. Here's the mechanism. Every time you lose a trade, your brain releases cortisol, the stress hormone. Small amounts are fine, useful even. They sharpen focus. But cortisol has a half-life of about 60 to 90 minutes. If you're taking multiple trades per day, or checking your losers obsessively, or lying awake at night replaying your mistakes, you never fully clear it from your system. It accumulates. Day 1 of a losing streak, cortisol spike, clears overnight. You're fine. Day 3, cortisol from today's loss stacks on yesterday's remainder. You're slightly more irritable. Your wife asks if you're okay. You say you're fine. You're lying, but you don't know it yet. Day 7, your baseline cortisol is now chronically elevated. You're not sleeping through the night. You're waking up at 4 a.m., heart already racing, mind already on the charts. You're drinking more coffee to compensate for the exhaustion. The coffee raises cortisol further. Day 11, your hippocampus, the part of your brain responsible for memory and pattern recognition, starts to physically shrink under sustained cortisol exposure. This is measurable on an MRI. Your ability to recognize your own setups degrades. The thing you're trying to get better at, pattern recognition, is being chemically eroded by the very act of trying. And you think you're just going through a rough patch? Sarah, a trader who ran a small account from her kitchen table, documented this without meaning to. She kept a journal, not of trades, but of sleep. Hours slept. Quality. Dreams. She didn't know why, just felt like something she should track. When she went back through it after blowing up her second account, she found the pattern. Losing streak 1, sleep degraded from 7.5 hours to 6.2 hours over 9 days. Losing streak 2, sleep degraded from 7.1 hours to 5.8 hours over 7 days. Losing streak 3, she didn't make it past 5 days. On day 5, she took a revenge trade at 11 p.m., risked 8% of her account instead of her usual 2%, and lost it before midnight. She wasn't weak. Her brain was starving. Sleep deprivation and chronic cortisol create a feedback loop. Less sleep means higher cortisol. Higher cortisol means worse sleep. Worse sleep means worse decision-making. Worse decision-making means more losses. More losses mean more cortisol. And somewhere in that loop, your discipline evaporates like water on hot concrete. Here's what makes this especially cruel. The professionals don't have this problem. Not because they're more disciplined, because they're trading with time on their side. A hedge fund manager running $50 million can lose $250,000 11 times in a row, and it represents 5.5% of his total capital. His nervous system registers this as noise. Annoying, but survivable. You're trading with $5,000. Lose $100 11 times, and you're down 22%. Your nervous system doesn't register this as noise. It registers it as catastrophic failure, as a threat to your survival, as a signal that you are doing something fundamentally wrong and must change immediately. And the sickest part? You are doing everything right. Your setups are valid. Your risk management is textbook. Your 3-1 risk-reward ratio is exactly what the professionals use. But your biology doesn't care about textbooks. It cares about survival. And survival says, stop touching the hot stove. So you adjust. Not consciously. You don't wake up one morning and say, today I will abandon my system. It happens in micro-decisions you don't even notice. You take profit at 2.51 instead of 3.1. You skip a trade because the setup isn't quite perfect. It was perfect. You hold a loser an extra 15 minutes hoping it will reverse. It doesn't. Each adjustment feels reasonable in the moment. Each adjustment is your brain trying to save you from yourself. Each adjustment destroys your edge. The math of loss tolerance is simple. The wider the gap between losses and wins, the more psychological capital you burn, waiting for the wins. And psychological capital, unlike money, doesn't replenish overnight. It drains slowly, invisibly, until one day you look at a perfect setup and feel nothing. No conviction, no discipline, just exhaustion. That's the moment most traders quit. Not because they ran out of money, because they ran out of the ability to trust themselves. One risk-reward changes the equation entirely. Not by making you more profitable on paper, it doesn't, but by changing the frequency of positive feedback. When you risk $100 to make $100, you win roughly half the time if you have a decent edge. That means every 2 or 3 trades your brain gets a reward. Your cortisol clears, your sleep stabilizes. Your hippocampus stops shrinking. You stay functional. The professionals can wait 11 losses for 4 wins because their biology isn't screaming at them. Yours is. And no amount of mindset training or journaling or meditation will override 100,000 years of evolutionary wiring that says, stop doing the thing that keeps hurting you. Sarah switched to 1 on her third account. Started with $2,000 she could actually afford to lose. Took trades with tight stops and tight targets. Her win rate climbed to 54%. Her sleep stabilized at 7 hours. Her cortisol, if she could have measured it, would have shown normal circadian rhythm instead of chronic elevation. 6 months later, she crossed $5,000. Not because 1 is better, because her brain could finally tolerate the system long enough for the edge to express itself. And here's the thing about edges. They're fragile. They require consistency to work. Consistency requires psychological stability. Psychological stability requires that your nervous system believes the game is survivable. 1 risk reward for a retail trader with a small account is a game your nervous system does not believe is survivable. So it sabotages you, not because you're weak, because it's trying to keep you alive. The question isn't whether you should be able to handle 1. The question is, can your actual physical biological system execute it without degrading? Can you lose 11 times, sleep 8 hours each night, wake up calm, take trade 12 with the same conviction as trade 1? If the answer is no, then 1 isn't an edge. It's a slow-motion suicide, and the most dangerous traders are the ones who don't know they're already dying. But there's a way out, a specific, mechanical process for rebuilding your tolerance from the ground up. For training your nervous system the same way you'd train a muscle, progressive overload. Small stresses recovered from fully, before adding more. That's where 1 becomes a tool, not a destination. Here's what actually happens when you switch from 1 to 1. You don't feel relief. You feel shame. Like you're giving up. Like you're admitting you're not good enough to trade the right way. Every trader who made this switch describes the same sensation. Sitting at their desk, changing their risk parameters, feeling like a failure. That feeling is your ego dying. Let it. Michael, former software engineer, thought trading would be easier than debugging code, spent 9 months trying to make 1 work. Lost 31% of his account. Not from bad trades. From good trades he exited early. From perfect setups he skipped because he wasn't feeling it. From stops he moved because it just needed a little more room. Every adjustment made sense in isolation. In aggregate, they were a suicide note, written in real time. He switched to 1 on a Tuesday. Didn't tell anyone. Felt like he was cheating. Felt like he was playing on easy mode. Felt like the other traders in the Discord would laugh at him if they knew. So he didn't tell them. Just quietly changed his risk-reward ratio and took his first trade. Stop at $50. Target at $50. It hit target in 40 minutes. And something strange happened in his body. Not excitement, not relief, just quiet. Like an engine that had been misfiring finally running smooth. His heart rate didn't spike. His hands didn't shake. He closed the laptop and went for a walk. 2 hours later, he came back and took trade 2. Lost. And here's what was different. He felt nothing. No spiral. No cortisol dump. No lying awake replaying the chart. Just lost $50 on to the next one. Because his brain could hold that loss without interpreting it as catastrophic failure. The recalibration had started. Here's the protocol. The actual mechanical steps that rebuild your nervous system's capacity to tolerate loss. Week 1, 2, pure 1, no exceptions. Every trade. Stop and target equidistant. Win or lose, $50. No adjustments. No, this one looks stronger. I'll go for 2, 1. Pure, boring mechanical execution. Your goal isn't to make money. Your goal is to teach your amygdala that trading doesn't have to be a life or death event. You'll hate this. It will feel like you're leaving money on the table. You are. Let it go. Week 3, 4. Track your physical state, not your P&L. In your journal, don't write won $50 or lost $50. Write, slept 7.5 hours. Took trade at 9:35 a.m. Heart rate normal. No second guessing. Your brain needs to learn to associate trading with stability, not volatility. The money is secondary. The nervous system recalibration is primary. Michael's journal from week 3. Trade 1. Lost. Felt fine. Didn't check charts again until 2 p.m. Trade 2. 1. Felt fine. Closed laptop. Made lunch. Trade 3. Lost. Felt fine. Realized I haven't thought about my account balance in 3 days. That last sentence is the breakthrough. Week 5. 6. Introduce 1.5. 1. Selectively. Not on every trade. Only on setups where your target logically extends to 1.5. 1 without forcing it. If you have to hope the market gives you 1.51, it's not a real setup. Go back to 1.1. Your brain is learning to distinguish between strong setup and I want this to be a strong setup. The difference is subtle. The impact is everything. Week 7. 8. Observe your exit behavior. You're not changing anything yet, just watching. Do you take profit early on the 1.51 trades? Do you move your stop? Do you feel anxiety when the trade is 0.81 in profit and pulling back? Write it down. Don't judge it, just document it. Michael noticed he was taking profit at 1.31 on 60% of his 1.51 trades, not consciously. Just, his hand would move to the mouse. He'd close the trade, feel relief. That relief is the problem. Your brain is still treating profit as escape from danger rather than the natural outcome of a system. As long as you feel relief when you take profit, you're still in survival mode. You haven't recalibrated yet. Week 9. 1-2. The waiting. This is the phase where nothing seems to be happening. Your win rate stabilizes around 5.5%. Your account grows slowly. 2% 1 week. Flat the next. Up 3% the week after. It's boring. Boring in a way that feels wrong after months of emotional volatility. This boredom is the signal. It means your cortisol baseline has normalized. It means your brain has stopped interpreting trading as a survival event. It means you can finally see the setups clearly again, without the static of fear or the distortion of hope. Michael's account crossed break-even in week 10, not because he started trading better, because he stopped trading worse. Stopped moving stops. Stopped taking early profit. Stopped skipping setups. His edge had been there the whole time, buried under layers of self-sabotage that his nervous system generated while trying to protect him. Week 13 plus, the choice. Now you can go back to 3.1 if you want. But here's what Michael discovered. He didn't want to. Not because he couldn't handle it anymore. Because he'd done the math on his actual trading, not the theoretical backtest. At 1.1 with a 54% win rate, he was making 8% per month. At 3.1 with his actual execution, early exits, moved stops, skipped trades, he'd been making -4% per month. The inferior strategy was outperforming the superior 1 by 12 percentage points per month. Compounded over a year, that's the difference between a 100% return and a blown account. The recalibration protocol doesn't make you a better trader. It makes you a functional trader. It removes the layers of biological self-sabotage that were preventing you from executing the edge you already had. And here's the strangest part. Once you've gone through the protocol, you start to see the professional traders differently. You realize they're not using 3.1 because they're more disciplined than you. They're using it because they have the infrastructure to support it, trading capital large enough that losses don't trigger survival responses. Support systems, therapists, coaches, peer groups, time horizons measured in years, not months. You don't have that infrastructure, so you build different infrastructure. You build a system your nervous system can execute, not just a system that looks good on paper. You build for sustainability, not optimization. And somewhere in that process, you stop feeling like you're trading wrong. You start feeling like you're one of the few traders who figured out what the game actually is. It's not about having the best risk-reward ratio. It's about having the best risk-reward ratio you can actually execute without your brain dismantling it from the inside out. For most retail traders, that ratio is 1-1, not forever, just until your nervous system has been retrained, until your cortisol baseline has normalized, until you can lose 3 times and sleep through the night. Then, maybe, you expand to 1.51, then 2.1. Then, if your infrastructure can support it, 3.1, but you earn it, inch by inch, by proving to your nervous system that you can handle the current stress load before adding more. Or you don't expand at all. You stay at 1.1, make your 8% per month, compound it for 5 years, and retire early. Both paths work. Only one of them is sustainable for a human being with a functional nervous system and a mortgage. Here's the part where we talk about numbers without lying to ourselves. The trading education industry runs on a beautiful fiction that the best system wins. It doesn't. The system you can execute for 5 years straight wins. The system that doesn't make you want to put your fist through your monitor at 2 a.m. wins. The system that lets you show up to your daughter's recital without checking your phone 17 times wins. Profitability isn't about maximal returns. It's about survival duration. And survival duration is determined by one metric that no one wants to talk about. How many consecutive losses can you absorb before your discipline collapses? Let's do the math honestly. Scenario A, 3. 1 risk-reward win rate needed to break even. 25% win rate for most retail traders with decent edge, 35% theoretical return, positive 17.5% per win/loss cycle, maximum consecutive losses before 50% drawdown, approximately 1.13 trades depending on position sizing. Looks great on paper. In reality, psychological collapse point for average retail trader, 7.9 consecutive losses. Percentage of traders who modify their system before reaching loss number 11, 94%. Most common modifications, early profit taking, widened stops, skipped trades, actual return after psychological modifications, -8. 15% over 3-6 month scenario B. 1 risk reward win rate needed to break even, 50% win rate for most retail traders with decent edge. 5.55% theoretical return, positive 4.10% per win/loss cycle, maximum consecutive losses before 50%. Drawdown approximately 2.530 trades. Looks worse on paper. In reality, psychological collapse point for average retail trader, 1.15 consecutive losses. Percentage of traders who modify their system before reaching loss number 15, 31%. Most common modifications, none. System stays intact. Actual return after psychological stability, positive 6.12% over 3-6 months. The numbers don't lie, but they don't tell the whole truth either. The whole truth requires looking at what happens between the trades. Rebecca, account size, $8,000. Trading futures. 2 kids under 5. Kept a spreadsheet that most traders don't keep. She tracked her ghost trades. Trades she should have taken, but didn't. Trades she shouldn't have taken, but did. Under 3. 1 risk reward over 4 months. Valid setups taken. 47 valid setups skipped. 23 invalid setups taken. Revenge/fear-based. 11 net result, minus $1,840. 23% loss, under 1 risk reward over 6 months. Valid setups taken, 93 valid setups skipped, 4 invalid setups taken. 2 net result, plus $920, 24% gain, same trader, same setups, same market conditions, different risk reward ratio, different person. The 3-1 system had a higher theoretical edge, but Rebecca couldn't execute it. Her brain kept sabotaging her, skipping the good trades, taking the bad ones. Not because she was undisciplined, because her nervous system was in a constant state of threat response and was making micro decisions to protect her from perceived danger. The 1-1 system had a lower theoretical edge, but Rebecca could execute it. Her brain stayed calm. Her decisions stayed consistent. The edge she had was able to express itself instead of being drowned in psychological noise. Here's the formula they don't teach you. Theoretical edge times execution rate equals actual edge. If your theoretical edge is 17.5%, but your execution rate is 40%, your actual edge is 7%. If your theoretical edge is 8%, but your execution rate is 95%, your actual edge is 7.6%. Nearly identical. But one path leaves you psychologically intact. The other leaves you checking crypto Twitter at 3 a.m., wondering if you should just buy and hold index funds like your dad said. The math of staying in the game is simple. Days in market times edge times capital equals final outcome. Most traders obsess over the edge variable. They should be obsessing over days in market, because if your edge is 17.5%, but you blow up in month 6, your days in market is 180, and your final outcome is 0. If your edge is 8% and you trade for 5 years, your days in market is 1,825, and your final outcome is life-changing. 8% per month, compounded for 5 years, turns $10,000 into $1.87 million. Even if you only achieve 5% per month, because life happens, drawdowns happen, you take a month off, you're still at $443,000 in 5 years. From a $10,000 start. Trading 1 risk reward. Boring, sustainable, executable. The professionals can chase 3. 1 because they have unlimited days in market. They have backup capital. They have salaries. They have institutional support. They're not betting their children's college fund on trade number 47. You are. And that changes everything about what optimal means. Marcus, former 3-1 true believer, account blown twice, now running $34,000 from a $5,000 start 3 years ago. Put it this way. I finally understood that my edge wasn't in my chart reading. It was in my ability to show up tomorrow, and the day after, and the day after that. Every system I couldn't execute was a minus 100% return system, no matter how good the backtest looked. 1-1 was the only system that let me keep showing up. And showing up is 90% of the edge. The other thing about 1 that nobody tells you, it trains you for higher ratios later. Because you're taking more trades, you're getting more reps. Your pattern recognition improves faster. Your execution becomes cleaner. Your emotional regulation gets stronger. 6 months at 1 gives you more trading experience than 2 years at 3-1, because at 3-1 you're spending most of your time in drawdown, second-guessing, and psychological recovery. Rebecca eventually moved to 1.5, 1 after 18 months at 1.1. Her execution rate stayed above 90%. Her account grew from $8,000 to $31,000. She's now testing 2, 1 on a small portion of her trades. She'll probably never trade 3-1 consistently. She doesn't need to. Her goal isn't to have the highest theoretical return. Her goal is to still be trading in year 10, to have turned her $8,000 into enough money to pay for her kids' college without loans, to have built a skill set that generates income for the rest of her life. And all of that requires just one thing: staying in the game long enough for the edge to compound. The mathematics of staying in the game are brutal and simple. Can you execute the system for 1,000 trades without modifying it? If no, the system is minus 100% return, regardless of its theoretical edge. If yes, the system is profitable, even if the edge is small. 1 is the only risk-reward ratio most retail traders can execute for 1,000 trades without their brain staging a coup. That's not a limitation, that's just biology. And the traders who accept this survive. The ones who fight it become another statistic in the 95% of traders lose money column. Your choice is not between 1-1 and 3-1, your choice is between 1-1 and extinction. Here's what happens after you stop fighting your biology: you become boring. Not in a bad way, in the way a surgeon is boring, in the way a pilot is boring, in the way every professional who deals with high-stakes decisions becomes boring, precise, methodical, predictable. The exciting traders are all broke. James trades now like a man who's died twice and come back with information. First account, blown chasing 5-1 risk-reward ratios, because a course told him that's what professionals do. Second account, blown trying to fix his psychology while still using 3-1 ratios because he thought the problem was his mindset, not his framework. Third account, built with 1-1, currently sitting at $127,000 from a $12,000 start 4 years ago. His daily routine is pathologically boring. 6 a.m., wake up, no phone, glass of water, sit in silence for 10 minutes. 6:15 a.m., review journal from previous day, not the trades, the state, how he felt, how he slept, any deviations from baseline. 6:30 a.m., coffee, news, market prep, mark key levels, set alerts. 9:30 a.m., market open, he watches, doesn't trade, waits for his setups. 10:15 a.m., first valid setup, entry, stop at $200, target at $200, closes laptop. 11 a.m., gym, 1 p.m., lunch, checks trade, either hit stop or hit target. If still running, leaves it. 2 p.m., second valid setup appears, takes it, same process. 3 p.m., market closed. He's either up $400, down $400, or somewhere in between. Doesn't matter. Closes laptop. 8 p.m., updates journal. 1 sentence about each trade. 1 sentence about his state. Done. This is what survival looks like. Not heroic, not exciting. Just systematic. Like a lab. Like an experiment that runs the same way every day. Collecting data, compounding results. The architecture of a sustainable trading career is not built on optimizing returns. It's built on optimizing repeatability. Can you do this 1,000 times? 10,000 times? Until the market structure changes so fundamentally that the edge no longer exists? If your system requires you to be disciplined or focused or in the zone, it's not a system. It's a hope. Systems run when you're tired, when you're distracted, when you're going through a divorce, or your kid is sick, or you slept 4 hours. 1 risk reward is a structural advantage. It doesn't require discipline. It requires only that you not modify it. And not modifying it is easier when your nervous system isn't screaming at you to change something, anything, because the current path feels like drowning. James describes the shift as emotional neutrality finally making sense. For years, I read about how pro traders feel nothing when they trade. I thought that was bullshit. How can you feel nothing when money is on the line? But it's not that you feel nothing. It's that you feel the same amount whether you win or lose. And you can only feel the same amount if the wins and losses are symmetrical. If I risk $100 to make $300, losing feels 3 times worse than winning feels good. My brain can't stay neutral. But if I risk $100 to make $100, they're balanced. I can stay flat. And staying flat is the whole game. The final architecture is this. Layer 1. Biological stability, sleep 7+ hours sunlight within 30 minutes of waking. No trading decisions before 9:30 a.m. No trading decisions after 3 p.m. No phone in bedroom. This isn't optimization. This is baseline functionality. Without this, your cortisol stays elevated and every other layer collapses. Layer 2. Systematic entries, defined setups, 3 maximum, defined timeframes, 1 or 2 maximum, defined markets, 3 maximum. No discretion. If setup appears, take it. If it doesn't, don't. Layer 3. Symmetrical risk 1. 1 risk reward until proven otherwise. Proven otherwise means 500+ trades with greater than 90% execution rate. Position size, 1% of account per trade. No exceptions. Ever. Layer 4. Emotional auditing journal your state, not your trades. Track sleep, mood, physical sensations. If state degrades, reduce position size or stop trading. State comes first. Money comes second. Layer 5. Time horizons. Don't check account balance daily. Don't calculate weekly returns. Monthly review only. Ask one question. Did I execute my system? If yes, continue. If no, diagnose why. This architecture is not sexy. It will not get you invited to podcasts. It will not make you Twitter famous. It will make you profitable. Not in month 1, maybe not in month 6. But in year 3, you'll wake up and realize your account has quietly grown to a size that changes your life. And you'll realize something else. The traders who are still arguing about whether 3-1 or 5-1 is optimal are the same traders who were arguing about it 3 years ago. Still broke. Still blaming the market, or their broker, or their psychology. While you were building. The final shift is this. You stop identifying as a trader and start identifying as an architect. Traders react to markets. Architects design systems that interface with markets. Traders have good days and bad days. Architects have systems that run regardless of how they feel. James doesn't trade anymore. Not really. He runs his system. The system trades. He just shows up, executes, and audits. Some months are up 8%. Some months are flat. Some months are down 3%. Across 12 months, he averages 5-7% growth. His account compounds. His stress stays flat. His life looks nothing like the Instagram traders with their rented Lambos and their "I made $10,000 today" screenshots. His life looks like a guy who works from home, picks his kids up from school, goes to the gym at 11 a.m., and sleeps 8 hours. Boring, profitable, sustainable. And here's the final uncomfortable truth. If you can't make money at 1-1, you won't make money at 3-1. The ratio isn't the problem. Your execution is. And execution can only be fixed by removing the variables that degrade it. The primary variable that degrades execution is biological stress response to asymmetric loss patterns. So you make the losses symmetric. You rebuild your nervous system's trust in the game. You trade until boring becomes beautiful. And then, one day, you look at your account and realize you did it. Not by being smarter than the market. Not by finding the secret indicator. Not by optimizing your risk-reward ratio. By becoming the kind of person who could execute the same simple system 10,000 times without breaking. The market doesn't care about your discipline. It cares about your consistency. And consistency requires a system that your biology can tolerate. For most retail traders, that system uses one risk-reward. Not because it's optimal, because it's executable. An executable beats optimal every single time. James closed his laptop. His account shows $127,843. Up $1,200 for the month. He doesn't feel excited. He feels nothing. Just marks it in his journal. Tomorrow, he'll do it again. And the day after. And the day after that. Until he doesn't need to anymore. That's the game. The one almost no one plays long enough to win.